What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Tate Talk Sports Podcast. I'm here with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing my Euros predictions for the semifinals, which we are now in. If you didn't watch over the weekend, Italy ended up winning, Spain ended up winning, England and Denmark won. So I was right on two of my four previous predictions. The other side of the bracket kind of surprised me a bit with Italy and Spain, but nonetheless, let's get into it and let's talk about my predictions. So first matchup I want to get into is Italy versus Spain. Now, if any of you watched the games over the weekend, I'm going to talk about Spain versus Switzerland first. That was an intense game, obviously going to penalties, and maybe one of the worst performances I've seen by Switzerland. And Spain basically squeaked by Switzerland. But it was not a good performance to me. Not a good performance by the Swiss. By the Spaniards. They had about 40 plus minutes going against 10 men because of a red card in regular time on a Swiss player. And if you watch that game during all of extra time, Spain was basically pinning Switzerland in their own box and creating chance after chance after chance after chance and was not putting away any of them and did not score despite having 40 plus minutes of time like that. So if you're not scoring in situations like that, it's not a great look. And at the same time, Italy on the other side looked really great in their matchup against Belgium. Belgium had moments of looking good, but they really didn't look great. De Bruyne was easily their best player, but just Italy did really well with pressuring the ball. They would lose the ball and immediately press and pass and then create chances, obviously scoring 2 goals. They did suffer a big loss in the match, though. Their left back, Spinazzola, who actually I didn't know much about, but apparently has been one of the better players in the tournament so far and is a key part of this team, actually tore his Achilles and so is out for the tournament. So I'm not sure how that's going to impact them because they were doing a lot on that left side with overlapping runs to create chances for both Spinazzola and Insigne on that left side. So it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt there. However, I think they do have one of the best game plans and one of the best managers in the tournament because they've just been playing with such a good system. They lose the ball and they press really well. They press really, really well, and then they fly forwards as soon as they get the ball. And it's been super effective at getting them goals. Spain, on the other hand, their game plan is obviously hold possession and pass and pass and pass and pass and pass and try and create a chance. And we saw that against Switzerland, but they're lacking the lethalness in attack. When they do create a chance, the finish is not very emphatic if there is a finish at all. They're just lacking that real cutthroat finisher that these other teams have, that Italy has, and players like Insigne and Chiesa, and Spain is just missing that. And despite them winning this previous round, I think Italy is hot. I think they're mentally fired up and they're ready to come into this game. They feel like they deserve to be here, and they definitely do. They're underdogs in the tournament, and now they're ready to show that they deserve to be in this final. I think it might be a closer game than people think, just because Spain is probably going to hold possession a lot again. But I do think Italy is just going to break through and probably score a few goals. My guess is the score will probably be something like 2-1, 3-1, with Italy winning in that matchup. So that means Italy gets to the final, which gets me to the other side of the bracket, which is England versus Denmark. Now, this is obviously the matchup, and England has even surprised me, and I would say surprised most England fans in this tournament with how well they have played. Everyone knew they were good, but they've really just played well, especially that back line. I think most people weren't worried about the attack, but were worried about the defense of England, and instead it's somehow turned them the other way around. But looking at Denmark, they got by the Czech Republic with some beautiful goals in the first half, winning 2-1, I believe the final score was. And again, they've got that 12th man that I keep talking about with Christian Eriksen. And they had that strong first half, but they did show some weaknesses in the second. And I think it's because they tried to be defensive and they tried to hold that lead, and then it allowed the Czechs to put pressure. The Czechs never really did anything with it, but it did allow, it did show how Denmark really, in order to be on the front foot, has to be on the front foot. And what I mean by that is they're amazing going forwards, slightly weaker defending. So their strong suit is getting the ball and pushing forward, and that's where they look best. So that's probably what they're going to aim to do against England, which begs the question, what will England do? Will they bring a 5 or a 4 at the back? And if you don't know what that means, a 5 at the back is where you have 3 center backs on the back line and then 2 wing backs, versus a 4, which is more traditional, where you have 2 center backs and 2 wing backs. And basically a 5 is just a bit more defensive. You drop it back a bit more and a bit more secure. And in the first round against Germany, they brought out a 5 back to mirror Germany because Germany is a bit more lethal. But against Ukraine, they brought out a 4. And that's super smart to do both of those things. And so it begs the question, what will they do against Denmark? And there's 2 game plans he can do. If he comes out with a 5, basically what it means is he's going to try and take on the attacks. Just take on the attacks that Denmark are bringing, try and sustain and withstand and not let them score, and then be lethal on the counter. That would be the goal, I'd imagine, of a 5 back. He'd pressure when they're attacking and then try and quickly attack on the counter. Whereas if he brought a 4, he'd be trying to pin back that attack and prevent the attack altogether by pressuring and holding possession, but therefore being a bit vulnerable to the counter of Denmark. Frankly, I'm not sure what Southgate will do. He's been amazing in this tournament with his strategies, and has basically been spot on with his strategies so far in this tournament. So I trust whatever he comes out in. If I had to guess, I'd say he's going to come out in a 5, just because Denmark is very lethal in attack, and that is their game plan. And we've seen against Germany that England can play a 5 back, but not a defensive 5 back where they still pressure and still get good opportunities, but there might be less than they would if there was a 4. But if I had to guess, it's going to be a 5 at the back, which begs the question, who will start for England? I think there's probably one position where there's going to be some, who knows who's going to play where, and that is on the right wing. If you watch the tournament so far, in the first match, Saka played on the right wing against Germany. He's a bit more defensive, a lot younger, but I think it's because he's a bit more defensive is why he played in that first match. Versus Ukraine, when Jadon Sancho basically got his first minutes in the tournament and played the whole, most of the game on that right wing. Didn't do too much, but he looked good to me. I thought he looked good. He was able to hold the ball and show some skill and pass, and I think that's what we need on that right wing. So the question is, will it be a player like Sancho? Will it be Saka? Will he play Grealish on the left and move Sterling to the right? Or could he bring in Rashford and play him in that spot? And my hope, because I don't know what Southgate is going to play, but my hope is that he plays Sancho or Grealish. In this tournament, it's looked like Southgate wants to bring Grealish off the bench as a weapon. But I'm very wary, especially in these later rounds, about letting the game get away from us and then trying to bring Grealish in. You don't want to go 1-0 down and then bring Grealish in. I want there to be a Grealish player in the tournament, in the game already, creating chances. And so I want either Grealish or Sancho, because both of those players are better at holding the ball. They're better at keeping possession. And I think that's what England's going to need to do, especially if they're in a 5. When they have possession, they're going to need to keep that possession to give themselves the best chance to win. So all that being said, my prediction in this game is England do win. Now, at the beginning of this tournament, I'm not sure I would have said that with how good Denmark has looked, but England has surprised everyone, like I said, even England fans. And I just think their attack is so lethal, and their manager is doing great game plan wise every game. I think it's probably going to be a close one for most of the game, but I do think England probably end up winning by 2 goals. Whether again it's a 3-1 score or a 2-0. I think England's defense really showed up this tournament, and it's made a big difference for them. And I think it'll make a big difference for them again in this game. So that leaves an Italy and England final. Obviously, if that does happen, I'll be coming back with another video. Either way, I'll be coming back with another video to preview the final and who I think will win. Thank you guys for watching this video. Obviously, I'll be back when the final is set to give my predictions. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.